Alright, we are on the road again. I worked out a deal with a guy between last night and this morning for another KFX 50, small little kid's bike, but this one looks really clean. It's a couple hours away, but he said it has no spark, and because it looks so clean, and my last two children quads that I sold within 24 hours, I kind of wanted to pick another one up. It's supposed to be just no spark, so hopefully it's either going to be stator or CDI or coil. There's not much else. The guy claims he put a new wiring harness on it already. I said it was an OEM wiring harness, so hopefully that's true. So there's only a few components I should have to buy, and even if I bought all of them, I shouldn't be more than $100. So $700 is the price, he said. So I said, yeah, I'll come look at it. It looked like he had quite a few people hitting him up, and luckily I was able to get to him soon enough to go get it. Now $700 is a little higher than I usually would pay, but since my last one sold for $1,200 in less than 24 hours, and this one looks so clean, I'm hoping I can secure maybe $1,300 and have only 750, maybe 800 tops in it, and maybe I can swing a $500 profit in very little work. So it's kind of my strategy I'm going for this year. I'm trying to focus, the lower entry price with the same amount of like $400 to $700 profit that I've been getting off my other bikes. So that's what I'm going to go look at it. We'll see if we get it, and yeah, I'll see you in a bit. All right, I just picked it up. Ended up being, I think it was a good deal. The thing is very, very clean. Like, it definitely looks like it has not been ridden basically at all. But it's kind of weird because no matter how much it looks like it hasn't been ridden, he said when he bought the bike, it had a lot of Chinese components. He said the CDI was Chinese, the coil was Chinese, I forget what else, but he said he ended up buying all OEM parts. He bought an OEM wiring harness because the one in it was all messed with, and he said it was pretty much going to catch fire. And then he said he bought an OEM coil and an OEM Kimco CDI. Like, he spent pretty good money on all these electrical components to put it all back together, but no success. And so I kind of believe the guy. Everything on it looks brand new. He said he could probably get me receipts if I really wanted them, but I don't know. I believe him. So yeah, that was that. The only thing he said he didn't replace, which I thought was kind of silly, was he said he didn't check the stator, and I was like, okay, I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Like, he's missing spark, and yeah, I don't know if he just doesn't know how to do that or doesn't have the right tools or what, but he said he like literally didn't want to think about it anymore. He was so frustrated at it. So apparently this guy he had it with this quad, and he was done. And the first KFX 50 was the same thing. He lost spark. He didn't want to mess with it anymore. On that one, the key for the flywheel came off, and the flywheel wasn't spinning. And it'd be really crazy if the same thing happened on this one. So I'll have to get it back and check, but that'd be crazy if the keyway just ended up, shearing and did the exact same thing. I don't know. We'll find out. My bet is it's the stator, though, because he said it had a lot of Chinese parts on it, that's so weird. For something that hadn't been ridden much, why would somebody put a bunch of Chinese parts on it, I don't know. So, I don't know. We'll find out. I'll get it back, and I'll see you then. But yeah, I did end up paying $700. The guy was super cool, and we got a 2-hour drive home. And yeah, I'll see you then. Peace. All right. All right, man. We are back in action. Had a bit of a trip. I had a lot of family stuff and went down to Germany. I shouldn't say down. We went over to Germany. It was a whole multi-week thing. And then we got back, and we got neurovirus. And so that was a whole week and a half, my family just all being sick. And so that's been fun. But there was like a small window between that where I felt decent enough for a couple days, and I did pick up a couple deals. I scored this little beauty. It's a KFX 50, and honestly, I think this is the cleanest machine I have ever purchased. I'm going to do a little walkthrough, but pick this one up, $500. I think I have maybe $20-30 in gas, so I have $530 in it, and it looks to be a pretty good deal. So let's do a walk around on that and talk about this one first. All right, so this is the 2008 KFX 50 I picked up. This thing is near mint. I mean, there's like a few scuffs here, little dings here and there, but like, I can't even begin to show you. I haven't even cleaned it, and you can just tell how clean this machine is. The tires look pretty new. Let's see. I mean, even all the plastics, everything looks so nice on it. The only thing that's bad about it, physically, is this, and it's got a pretty big, it's like a 3-inch crack, so I'm going to plaster weld it, stick a sticker over it, and you'll never know. And there is a little puncture here, but I mean, $500. These are easily going for $1,200, and I've never had one so dang clean, so I'm kind of excited. The brakes work. This is the one where I picked it up, and the guy said he could not get the electric to work. So let me pop this seat off real quick. If I could find the switch. I finally got it. Okay. This is the one where the guy said he could not get spark, and he tried putting an entire new wiring harness on there. He bought a brand new OEM Kimco CDI, and he bought a brand new coil. So literally all the electronics on it are brand new. He just has this kind of sitting on there. That's wrong. But he was like, I cannot figure this out. And I've spent very little time looking at it, and immediately I noticed, oh, where's it at? The main fuse here. If you look at the red wire where they connect, there's supposed to be a fuse right here, and there's the spare one here, but there's no fuse in here. So this is literally the exact same thing I had on the first one I bought. I bought one early last year, and the guy had no spark, and then I looked in here, and the fuse was busted, so I just threw in the spare one. Voila, that was it. It was so easy. So I'm going to swap this over, hook up my jumpers, and I'm going to see if this has spark, because this might be super easy. It did not come with an air box, unfortunately. I did have to order that, so it's just right now, straight into the car. But if we can at least get it to turn over and get spark, we can probably get it to run enough and just see this little baby purr for a little bit. So I want to try that real quick and, see if we can get spark in just a few minutes. And, let me swap this out real quick. All right, so it's definitely wrong. I guess there was one in there. It didn't look like it, but now that I got it opened up, definitely a good fuse in there. So that's not an issue. Another thing I was seeing is the little guy in here that activates whether the machine runs or not. This is your parental assist, so it's got a little, what are those things called? Tether, basically, where you pull on it, and when that's pulled off, then it shuts off your spark. So I want to try that, and it didn't come with it, but I think I have one on one of the other quads that I have. So I'm going to try and plug one of those up. And also, we need to follow some connections. I might have to get these plastics off, but I was really hoping to just see if I can get it to turn over with as simple as hooking up my jumper. So let's go ahead and just hook it up and see what happens if we push this in. We'll go from there. All right, so first things first, the starter's not hooked up. So when I hook up my jumper box, it's not reading that there's even a circulation to send power through. So I'm going to have to figure out, this kind of winds back into there, so I'm going to have to reroute it a little bit and kind of hook things back up, but I got to get this hooked up before I can even attempt to turn it over, so we'll start with that. Alright, so unfortunately there's just not enough room to really work with these wires, and the annoying thing is with these KFX 50s is to get the front plastic off, this entire piece, you have to remove the entire steering handle here, basically. So you have to disconnect it here so that you can tilt it and so that this all comes up. So I have to disconnect these plastics and disconnect the steering clamp here to the handlebars, and just to get that off. But I'm gonna have to do it so that I can get this wiring all right. It's just gonna take a bit more time than I would have liked, but we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. All right, so a lot of things are wrong about this. I looked this up, and this is clearly just an Amazon wiring harness. It's not OEM, so definitely not correct there, like he said it was. All the connections on the front look good, but when it comes to the stator, he just spliced that in, and then this doesn't hook up to anything, which is your main starter loop to your battery, and there's nothing that hooks up to it. In fact, there's only one prong on the starter, so there's supposed to be a prong hook up there that, and another one that goes to a ground that plug into here that I just don't see anywhere. This is your choke sensor that goes there. That all looks good. And then when you get to the back, there is no wire for the hookup for the rear light here. Haven't been able to find that. And then this switch right here, it wasn't even hooked up. It's literally just two loose cut wires. So gonna have to get that spliced in. I think that is like right, it's hard to show, but there's a bunch of green wires right here that clearly, these ones right here, I think those hook up somewhere along here, so I'll have to check the actual manual. But yeah, so pretty much here's your double greens. So that's going to hook up to your back thing. You won't get spark without that making contact. I mean, that makes ground for your ignition switch, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, so that was never going to work. Everything else looks to be generally hooked up correctly, but there's no wire whatsoever for the back light. I'm going to guess must be this green and green yellow. Let's see. Green and they're just both green. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Green and green, yellow, and brown. So I think that's supposed to hook up to here. It's just missing the correct plug. So I think the harness might actually work, but a lot of the fittings are missing, and I'm gonna have to make a lot of splices and a lot of extra plugs on here to make it work. But I think I can make the wiring harness work, assuming nothing's messed up there. I'll have to look at how expensive a new one is. But if we go over here, I still got to figure out what this plugs into that connects all the main power. I might just jerry-rig it for now. I'm not sure. But I'll go online and look it up. But I'm either going to find this piece and like just kind of jerry-rig the rest, or I'm just going to order a whole new wiring harness, and then it should all plug in better. Also, the stator, he said this is the one thing he didn't replace, and looking at these wires, I mean, this is definitely not OEM, so I have a feeling the stator might be crap anyways. I mean, it's probably just the Chinese, since he said everything else on here was Chinese. So it's quite possible that also was another issue causing it not to have spark. So I might just order another stator, but I'm not going to order much until I get all the main power going and just see whether we have spark or not. But I definitely got to figure out a few loose ends here. But luckily, I don't think I have to take this off like I thought, which is nice. I can pretty much get access to everything just by taking off this plastic piece. And if I really need to, I can take that one off too. So, yeah, I'm pretty glad about that, because that's a pain in the butt to take that whole thing off. So, all right, I'll jump on it. We'll get to it. All right, so I got all my electronics for this guy to start, all my fittings and for the electronics, and so I can start doing this. I'm going to go ahead and ohm this stator real quick and see if this thing's even good, because otherwise I need to order a stator, and the used ones are like $70 for these things, which is crazy to me. But either way, I'm going to see if this thing's worth its weight and go from there. All right, so sadly on the manual, the only thing you can test on your stator is your pulsar coil. I don't know why you cannot test these ones, but there's no readings for these ones to check. Now the pulsar coil is checked between this and ground with a resistance of anywhere from 100 to 140, and I'm getting 101.7. So the pulsar coil is getting the correct amount of resistance, so that checks out. But that's the only thing I can actually check on the stator. So as far as I can tell, that part is fine. But we'll go ahead and start making all the fittings we need to get all this, janky stuff hooked up so that we can actually try and see if this thing will get sparked today. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. All right, so I went everywhere in town to find shrink wrap fittings like these, and I had no luck. Even Arbor Freight was out, even though they said they had some, and the electrical store didn't have it. Nowhere had like male-female connectors like these that I wanted, so I ended up ordering these on Amazon. They were like $9 for this big old pack, but the shrink wrap part doesn't feel like the nicer ones, so I'm not so sure how they're going to pan out, so I'll kind of let you know how that goes. But I really wanted some male-female connectors so I could do like the pulsar coil cable, and I had to jerry rig a stator couple plugs as well, because it just doesn't have the one that it needs to plug into here, and I don't know where to order this specific one. So I'm going to try this out, and hopefully this shrink wrap stuff actually works. It's just a little stiffer than the stuff I usually work with, so I don't know if it's going to work as well, but I'm really hoping it does. I bought a bunch of them, so here we go. All right, that's my first fitting. If it would focus here, the quality's obviously not there, but the shrink wrap worked fine. I'm afraid that this metal thing's just going to like rip off kind of easy, but it's better than no shrink wrap, I think, but definitely not as good as a quality fitting like comes on these things. So I'm gonna use them, and we'll see if they end up breaking on me. But I really wish there was a way to like solder the wire in instead of crimping, because I really want to just solder it in there so it's not going to come out at all. But with the way that it's already pre-shrink wrapped in there, I can't get any solder in there, so you kind of have to go with the crimp and shrink wrap style. So hopefully the shrink wrap gives it a little more strength, but I pulled on it pretty hard and it was sticking. So I hope it works, because I bought a lot of these things. All right, I got the custom green and red wires ran. The red one goes to the starter, the green or now black one goes to ground, so that the full loop is done, so that when I hook up my cables, now we should have a full loop. So let's go ahead and turn the key on. Hey, now we have a full loop, and in theory, if I press this button, she should start. And nothing. That's interesting. The button feels like it doesn't even push anything. Let me chase some wires. Maybe this isn't hooked up. Yeah, I'll figure it out. Alright, I figured it out. It has the sensors here for the brake cable, so you have to be pressing the brake cable to turn it over. So, one step closer, we got the starter working. And next is the check if we have spark. Now I have to, this one's not hooked up on the thing here, but if I connect these two wires here, I should at least have spark. So if the stator is good, we'll have spark if I hold those two together. So let's go ahead and try that. It's got some random auto light spark plug on there. I might have an NGK that'll work. Let me go look that up. Otherwise, we'll try and see if we have spark with this, but I'd rather try an NGK. All right, so luckily when I bought the spark plug for the Raptor 50, I bought an extra CR7H7A, and it's the exact same plug. So we can go ahead and throw this in real quick and see if we have spark. So fingers crossed. All right, the angle's a little too hard for me to hold this brake lever, hit this switch, and hold this spark plug down here, but I did it, and we definitely have spark, so that's freaking awesome. Really wasn't that hard. Basically, it was missing this plug that hooked up to the starter and grounded it, which was one of the main big plugs. I just made my own fitting, and it also didn't have any good fittings for the stator, which, not a big deal. He had some on there, but I went ahead and put good ones on there. Probably the biggest thing this guy might have made a mistake on was the fact that the two green wires down here that I just taped them together. This tether back here has to be activated, or in this case taped together, for it to have spark. So I don't know if that was his mistake, or if maybe his fittings here just weren't very good. I mean, he definitely didn't have the starter hooked up, but that doesn't matter. He still should have been able to kickstart it and have spark. So whatever the case, we have spark. We have compression 150. So last thing is the carburetor here, and I might have everything now. I'm not sure. I think I have the air box and the air filter, so I might be able to hook this all up now, but I'll have to do it tomorrow. Either way, we got spark. I need to clean all this up, obviously, and I'll also do the fittings on the, this is your stupid electronic choke, which I hate. The Raptor, the LTZ, and the, oh, what's the other one? They all do a manual choke, but for some reason on the KFXs, they use these electric chokes, and they can be quite problematic. So all I gotta do is finish this fitting, tape it all up, make it look much nicer, and she's got spark. She'll be good. And then we'll hook up the airbox. Hopefully this sucker's easy. I mean, it doesn't look like it's been ridden at all, so I really think after we throw that on, we'll be good to go. So pretty excited. This one will be a pretty easy flip. I'm hoping. I've been watching quite a few of these sell online, and I think I'm gonna get anywhere from like $1,400 to $1,600. I'm gonna shoot for 15, but I have $900 invested in it by time I bought the airbox, air filter. Oh, what else did I have to buy? I had to buy quite a few little things for it, but all in all, I paid $7, and I had like 40 or 50 in gas, and then I had to buy the airbox stuff was pretty expensive because I had to buy the top of it was OEM new, and that was expensive. So I have most of it in a box over here. So I think, yeah, see, I had to buy this lid new, and the old box I bought used for 20 bucks, but this lid was like 60 bucks. And I got the air filter. I bought the gasket that goes on the lid itself. Oh, I had to buy a bunch of screws too. Yeah, so these are the screws that bolt down the plastics. It was missing all of your a lot of these plastic, or these bolts for the plastic. So I bought 8 of these, and I also bought the bolts that bolt the lid on there. So just a bunch of little stuff here and there, but it all added up. So I think I have about 900 in this thing. But either way, I think we're gonna have this sucker running tomorrow. Pretty excited. So yeah, we'll jump on that tomorrow, clean up all the electric, and get the airbox on there, and hopefully she's a ripper. So wish me luck. All right, it's another day. We're back with the KFX 50 here. I got all the electrical working. We got spark, we have compression, we have everything all electrically good. Just need to hook up the new battery, clean up a lot of this wiring, which I'm going to do now. And I still need to do some fittings on this, but all in all, I'm going to clean all this up, get the new battery in, and then I just have to add the air box in here. Which, yeah, there's nothing but the carburetor right now. But yeah, I'm going to hook up the airbox. I got a new air filter. I got everything. I'm going to put it all together, and we'll see if she runs. So I'll see you in an hour or so. All right, I got the new battery hooked up, and I cleaned up all this wiring, got it looking about as professional as I could, considering basically all of the fittings had to be redone here. Oops. It just, I don't know, it's pretty hideous. I'm not a big fan of these fittings. They kind of can come undone quite easy. So I zip tied them in a way where they wouldn't kind of pop out. So that's what I ended up doing. I left all the original ones I could, thank goodness. But this bundle right here, man, it is hideous. But I got all the main wires, even the wire for the electronic chokes hooked up, and I think it looks decent. Like, this is my wire I made that connects to the harness up there. So the only thing you really see is when you're kind of tucked down like this, and it really doesn't look that bad. So I don't think anyone's going to really question it too much. But yeah, that's it. All I got left is the airbox, so I'm going to do all that real quick, and then hopefully get some fuel in here, and we'll be cooking. I don't know. I don't think there's any gas in there, so might have to fill that up. Let's go. Give her some gas. All right, I got the airbox on there for the most part. I got fuel in there. Let's see what happens. Need to hook up the spark plug. There's not a spark plug in there at all. Let me get the spark plug in there. All right, I got the spark plug in there. Let's see what happens now. Just like that. That went real nice. Flawless. All we had to do is put the airbox back on there, get spark, fire it up like nothing. Idle's a little high. Alright, check the oil. It looks nice. It's pretty golden. It's full to the brim. So let's go ahead and warm her up and then take her for a little ride. See if she fires right back up. Just like that. That's a little better. Alright, she should be pretty much warmed up by now. She's idling nice. Sitting real pretty. I didn't put the side plastic on yet, but I want to give her a little ride and see if she'll run well. I don't think I can put this thing in idle other than sticking the back tires up on a jack. So I think, honestly, I think she's just going to ride. So I'm going to hop on real quick, see what happens. I don't know what that noise was. I don't know if that was the seat or the engine. Yeah, that's max RPM. She's running perfectly. Very responsive engine. Way better than the last one I just worked on. I like it a lot. Idled just right. Everything on it is really nice. It is basically a new machine, so it should run really good. Let's try and make it up this hill real quick. Oh yeah. Easily. I weigh 155 pounds. It's pulling me up like nothing. All right. Definitely the nicest 50cc I've ever had. This thing, it's very responsive for a 50 compared to all the other ones I have. It won't do a burnout or anything. Like the last KFX 50 I had, it had a lot of mods. It was basically a KFX 80 or a 50, you know, unleashed. But this for a 50, man, it is really nice and responsive. So definitely a nice machine. I'm gonna feel pretty good selling this one. I just got to get the rest of these plastics back on, and I think I'm gonna plaster weld this real quick, put a sticker on there. I'm gonna put her up for sale. This sucker looks ready, man. Turn her off, fire right back up.
a flawless machine. So, all right, I'm gonna piece back some of this, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I was putting all the plastics back together, and I realized that this tab right here was completely snapped off. It was just like hanging by a thread. So I'm gonna go ahead and I need to plaster weld this before I put all my bolts on. So I'm gonna do that, and then while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and weld this one as well before I stick my sticker on it, so that I can get that all ship shape. Because otherwise, that's just not. It's gonna be a little wobbly, and I want this thing to be nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. My plaster welder. All right. So unfortunately, I don't know if it was the way they designed it or what, but the hole for this is so poorly lined up with the tab. I think that's why it broke to begin with. So even if I put this on straight, it was going to be wrong. So I just decided that with the bolt on over here, I think it's sturdy enough. It'll be better once I get these all put on, but I'm going to call that good enough. This came out really good. It kind of looks more like a scratch now, but it's definitely a crack. But it's got a lot of strength to it, and it's not moving now since I did a bunch of welding up here, or just putting those metal pieces in there. So this should be a lot stronger now, and I can bolt that in and call that done. I think I'm just going to smack a sticker here if I could find one, and that should be good. So I'll get the rest of this on, clean it up, and let's get her for sale. Alright, so that concludes the KFX 50 flip bike that I did. Ended up being a pretty good deal. I didn't spend too much time. I think I had like 4.5 hours picking it up, and about a day's worth, so maybe 6 hours worth of work on it. And it ended up being a really good running machine. The thing looks great. I put it up for $1,500 on Marketplace, and I am firm. I'm not moving. I'm pretty sure this is going to sell at that price. So we'll make, hopefully, a solid $600, and we'll be good. So yeah, I think that's going to be it. Really is just a clean machine. So if you end up making it this far, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.